Welcome to Spanish Grammar Lessons by myself, Mr. Crucides. This is lesson 6 on the conditional tense. If you've watched lesson 5 on the future tense, then the conditional tense is really easy indeed. Just a separate, same rules, but just different endings. So first of all, as ever, if you're learning a tense in a foreign language, you need to understand what this tense is in English, because most English people haven't got a clue what the conditional tense is, yet we use it all the time. So the conditional tense is basically the word would. If I was rich, I would resign as a teacher. The reason it's called the conditional tense is because I would resign as a teacher. There's no guarantee there. I'm not saying I will resign, it's I would resign, because there's a condition attached, and that is me being rich. That's why it's called the conditional tense. But if you're struggling to get your head around that, just remember it translates it as would. Will is the future tense, going to is the future tense, but would is the conditional tense. There we go. And as I've said, make sure you fully understand both future tenses before you tackle this conditional tense. And I've just explained why it's called the conditional tense, because there's always a condition attached, normally with an if sentence. So to form the Spanish conditional tense is really easy. All you do is grab the infinitive straight out of the dictionary. If you don't know what an infinitive is, then go back and check out my lesson on infinitives, and then you need to add the appropriate ending onto the infinitive. So here are the endings: ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. Again, so these are the endings for ia is the first person singular, that I. Ias, second person singular, that's you singular. Ia, third person singular, that's he, she and it. Iamos, that's the first person plural, that's the we ending. Iais, that's the second person plural, that's the you ending. And ian, that's the third person plural, meaning they. Just made a note on the side there. This may not mean anything to you currently, but these endings are exactly the same as the endings for the imperfect tense. I've got a separate video on that. The endings are the same, but for the conditional tense you add them on to an infinitive. For the imperfect tense, it's the same endings, but you don't add them to an infinitive. You add them onto the infinitive minus the ar, er, ir, so the verb stem. Anyway, check out my lesson on the imperfect tense for that. So I would play jugaría. Jugar is the infinitive, straight out of the dictionary, and then I is the first person singular, so that's the first ending from that list. So ia, jugaría, easy. You would listen is escucharías. So again, escuchar is the infinitive. So grab the infinitive, and you. Well, let's assume that this was a you singular. That's the second person singular. So that's the second ending from that list. Add on the ias to make escucharías. Easy. Again, you can see from the three verb groups, I mean, they're all the same. You're just adding those endings onto the infinitive. Just grab any verb from that list. Can you decline it in Spanish? So grab bailar. Can you say in Spanish, I would dance, you would dance, he, she, it would dance, we would dance, you would dance, they would dance. So take bailar and add on the endings. Grab any other one at random, I don't know, beber, to drink, and can you decline it? Can you go bailaría, bailarías, bailaría, bailaríamos, bailaríais, bailarían? So make sure you can decline it. Make sure you understand what it means when you're declining a verb. Otherwise, you're just learning a random poem off by heart. It's pointless. So make sure you understand why it's important to decline verbs in this way. Unfortunately, as with all rules, there are a few exceptions. And again, this is exactly the same as for the will future tense. So for these ones, I mentioned before that you add the endings onto an infinitive. However, for the irregular verbs, you use the same endings, but you don't add them onto the infinitive. You add them on to these future and conditional stems. So if you want to say I would do, the verb to do is hacer. I would do is not hacería, it's haría. So the hacer becomes har for the conditional tense, also for the future tense as well. And it's the same for decir, which becomes diría. Poder, podría, poner, pondría, salir, saldría, it's not saliría, tener, tendría, and venir becomes vendría, not venería, and querer becomes querría. Okay, so make sure you are aware of those irregular conditional conditional tense stems. They're the same as the future tense. In fact, it says there, do not add the future tense endings onto the infinitive. We should say the conditional tense endings there. Okay. So just press pause. Just double check that you can translate these from Spanish into English. Just press pause. Grab a sheet of paper if you like, or do them in your head. Here we go. So again, these are all conditional tense. That's why we're seeing the word would in all of them. Right, just to double check that you've got this in Spanish, just press pause. Can you write down the translations for all of these? Here we go. Okay, note for this one, haría, it's irregular. The verb is hacer. If you wrote hacería, you've understood the rule, except you've forgotten that hacer is irregular and you've got that irregular future conditional stem there. And again with harían, if you wrote hacerían, just double check your list, see if there are any other irregular ones you might have overlooked. No, because all the rest, oh there we go, all the rest were completely regular. So again, infinitive plus the conditional ending. So quick recap. To say that you or someone else would do something, use the infinitive with the conditional tense endings. You need to learn them off by heart. Notice they've all got that accent on the I. That's how you can easily recognise it, although be careful you're not confusing it with an imperfect tense. Ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. And don't forget the changes to those irregular verbs. Those irregular verbs, you don't use the infinitive, you use this irregular conditional stem or irregular future stem. It's the same stem for the future tense and the conditional tense. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson. Thank you very much.